Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories in the week. I'm Kayode Kikilu. First, the headlines. Senate holds public hearing across the country to review the 1999 Constitution for amendment. The central bank retains monetary policy rates at 11.5%, insists states must repay bailout loans. An estimated worth of jewelry and houses forfeited by former Minister of Petroleum, Mrs. Dezani Alisimaduke, valued at over 14 billion naira and $80 million. Plus, thousands flee Goma after DR Congo's volcano warning. Well, News Round begins with the process of amending the 1999 Constitution as the public hearing takes place across 12 centers of the geopolitical regions of Nigeria. Our next report chronicles events in the northern and southern centers of the country where issues of devolution of powers and the creation of more states were top on the agenda.
Hundreds of memoranda already on the table as a long-awaited discussion on the review of Nigeria's constitution kickstarts. In the north, Niger State is hosting stakeholders from Kogi, Kwara and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, as Governor Abubakar Bello and the Deputy Chief Whip of the Senate underscore the need for Nigeria to have a constitution that guarantees the principles of democracy. Among the issues considered for review at the Kaduna Center, which has Kaduna, Kano, Katsina and Jigawa State, are resource control, removal of national minimum wage from the exclusive to the concurrent list, and decentralization of the police, which Governor Nasser El-Rufai believes will enable states exercise effective control in securing their residents and communities. The Plateau State Center, comprising Benue, Nasarawa and the whole state, received over 45 memoranda, with Governor Simon Lalong challenging the gathering to use the opportunity to address salient points agitating the minds of Nigerians.
No one should be allowed to have a constitution, and said that no one should be manipulated by those in power or any other side to the privilege of manipulating any party.
There was a mild drama in the center as members of the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees insist that their spokesman must be recognized by the committee. However, the matter was resolved. In Bauchi, while participants agree on almost all the terms of reference for the hearing, they however differ on some issues, with the Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed calling for the creation of state police, while representatives from Yobe and Borno have contrary views.
To allay the fears that the state police could be abused by governors for political ends, I wish to suggest that appropriate legal instrument be put in place by the writers of the Constitution, by the legislators and members of the House of Assemblies and the House of Representatives, so that at the end of the day, there won't be arbitrariness, subjectivity, and political persecution.
Stakeholders in Gombe State, comprising those from Adamawa, Taraba and the whole state, are optimistic that a new constitution reflecting the yearnings of Nigerians will help correct the defects in the constitution. Participants at the Sokoto Center, which has also representatives from Zamfara and Kebbi states, wants the 1999 constitution review to, among other things, reflect the issues of local government autonomy, gender equality, and youth inclusiveness in governance. From the northern part of Nigeria to Akure, the Ondo State capital, where the zonal public hearing on the review of the constitution is also taking place. Present are stakeholders from the host Ondo State, Ekiti and Osun states from the southwest zone of the country. Senators and state assembly members from the three states are also present. The event is chaired by the Deputy Majority Leader of the Senate, who stood in for the Chairman of the Senate Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution, Mr. Ovie Omoagege.
This ongoing review provides a platform for the good people of Nigeria to express their opinions on the fundamental law that governs our lives through proposals that will lead to the highest good of the greatest number of our people.
The exercise also held in Owerri, the Imo State capital, and concerned groups from the southern states of Imo and Abia converged on the city to present their views. For Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State and the Senate Chief Whip, Ojuzo Kalu, the public hearing presents an avenue for the people of the Southeast to convey their grievances and bring them to the table.
This exercise today is yet another opportunity for those of us from Imo State and Abia State to make our inputs on the amendments we seek in the country's constitution. The Senate have decided to adopt a bottom-top approach by first listening to Nigerians is geopolitical. This approach underscores the critical importance the Constitutional Review Committee places on subsectional level of governance in Nigeria.
Stakeholders from Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu states gather in Enugu Center for the public hearing, and the state governor, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, says he supports the exercise because it is capable of enhancing national cohesion.
The government and the good people of Enugu State fervently support amendments in our constitution that would enhance the unity and prosperity of Nigeria in an environment where justice, fairness, and equity shall prevail.
For the zonal public hearing,
concerned groups from Bayelsa, Edo, and Delta states also gather in Asaba, the Delta State capital, for the public hearing. The public hearing brings hope to Nigerians that the constitution review process will eventually produce a constitution that captures the concerns of all, leading to a harmonious and peaceful coexistence in the country.
And here in Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, the public hearing on the review of the provisions of the 1999 Constitution held with the state governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, reiterating the need for fiscal federalism and a special status for the former capital.
This is what greets you as you arrive at the venue of the Lagos Constitution Amendment public hearing in Ikeja, Lagos. The public hearing represents the three states of the Southwest region, Lagos, Ogun, and Oyo states. Labor union members with their placards and their demands are explicit. But as the exercise gets underway, the opening statement sets the tone.
Many have argued that the 1999 Constitution is not a people's constitution. In other words, it has been argued that it was written and forced on us by the military.
And the first presentation was that of the governor of Lagos State.
Equally fundamental, particularly for us in Lagos, is the issue around the special economic status for Lagos.
And afterwards, the floor is open for other presentations.
How can we continue to allow 50% of the population to remain excluded, marginalized?
Through federalism, the issue of the minimum wage is contained in the exclusive list. America and Germany is one example. America is a true federation, but the issue of fixing a national minimum wage is in the federal law. Once it is fixed, state can only implement higher or negotiate the consequential adjustment. It cannot be brought downward.
Even some are asking for a new state.
If you recommend that Oyo State should be subdivided, then the capital should be started in Ogbomoso.
Out of the three regional capitals of Nigeria in the First Republic, that is Kaduna, Ibadan, and Enugu, Ibadan is the only one that is yet to be an autonomous state in Nigeria. For creation of Ibadan State out of the present Oyo State.
But a group believes the nation does not need an amendment, but here is what they feel will help solve Nigeria's problems.
Initiate a process towards the creation of a new constitution, as an amendment is inadequate to address the multiple structural issues that threaten the Nigerian state.
With the constitutional amendment process failing to sail through in 2 consecutive national assemblies, the senators believe this exercise will work this time around.
Women Initiative for Peace.
On the second day of the public hearing, people are back, but with no drama. The presentations begin and demands roll in. Some of the groups are asking for drastic changes to the Nigerian constitution.
We ask that a foreign husband married to a Nigerian woman who wishes to become a Nigerian citizen by registration should be afforded the opportunity.
We here postulate that we should discard the presidential system. It's very expensive and very wasteful. Number two, we should have just unicameral legislation, just one house legislation at the center.
Soon, it was the turn of senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, and he gives this firm warning.
The country is on the verge of collapse. And therefore, for the constitutional amendment to be meaningful, for us to have a germane soil for these amendments you are proposing to take root, there must be peace and stability. And you can only have peace and stability if you address the problems confronting the people. The right to self-determination is guaranteed by Article 20 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights Act. If you don't want people to break away from Nigeria, you must give them confidence. Don't declare a war. This business of go and shoot on sight. And legislators, when you return to Abuja, to ensure that we abandon the path of hostility. And the federal government must be persuaded to embrace dialogue with all Nigerians who are dissatisfied with lopsided appointments and instability.
The senators are done with the work here, and they make plans to return to Abuja.
The documents that we have collected here will be scrutinized, harmonized, and will still go to the House of Representatives for concurrence. Subsequently, it will have to go to all our state houses of assembly for ratification.
After several hours of listening to presentations from different groups that have come up to the podium, their expectations are that some of their suggestions will help shape the Nigeria that we all want to see.
And now to the nation's economy. As the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee decided to keep its interest rates unchanged for the fourth time since September 2020, citing its fragility. Well, the governor of the Central Bank, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, at the end of the two-day meeting of the MPC in Abuja, said the committee voted to leave MPR at 11.5%, cash reserve ratio at 27.5%, and liquidity ratio at 30%.
Every 8 weeks, the 10-member Monetary Policy Committee is faced with three choices: to tighten, hold, or loosen in determining an appropriate stance for policy in the short to medium term. Again, it has unanimously chosen to hold.
The choice, therefore, was between loosening the stance of policy to ease credit further, or tighten to moderate price development, or maintain a hold stance in order to allow previous policy measures to continue to permeate the economy while observing global and domestic developments. Based on the above considerations, the MPC made the decision to hold all policy parameters constant.
As of April of 2021, the country's inflation rate eased by 18.12%, while its GDP increased by 0.51%, driven mostly by agriculture and industry. According to the CBN governor, the liquidity mop-up is yielding results.
The twin problems confronting the Nigerian economy and that must be addressed relates to stagflation caused by rising inflation, with output, in this case GDP, contracting at the same time.
The CBN is maintaining its ban on cryptocurrency transactions in Nigerian banks, and despite calls from governors seeking further deferment on payment of bailout loans, the CBN governor stands his ground.
Those who invented crypto said it is encrypted. When they say it is encrypted, it means that whatever is happening between me and you is only known to the two of us. And you know what? In case I defraud you, because it's encrypted, you can't even disclose my name. you can't even get your money back. That is not what a responsible central bank will support. On this issue of state government, they're going to pay their loans. The banks have written to finance and they have copied me that they want their money. If it was a bilateral loan agreement, in fact, there's privacy of contract here. I'm not part of it, so they should pay their loans.
Now we've come to the end of this press
The MPC is also asking that the federal government tackle insecurity immediately, stating its adverse effects on the war against inflation in the country. The MPC has also asked that the federal government ensure that 70% of the Nigerian population are vaccinated against COVID-19 if the country is to make any form of economic recovery. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
14 billion naira. Well, that's how much jewelry the EFCC says a former Minister of Petroleum Resources forfeited. More details in a moment. The channels again. You're welcome back. The £4.2 million Ibori loot also made the news during the week as the Accountant General of the Federation says the monies had been paid to Delta State. Well, he said recoveries are made by the federal government on behalf of states and insists that any recovery arising from looted funds from a particular state go directly to states.
The Attorney General and Accountant General of the Federation honor the summons of the House Committee on Recovered Loots after failing to appear the previous day. Former chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ibrahim Magu, is also in attendance. The Attorney General begins by explaining that there are agreements surrounding internationally recovered loots.
On account of the fact that Nigeria, as a sovereign nation, is not exclusively involved where international recoveries are concerned, it calls for mutual negotiations and determination.
On local recoveries, he says a database has been created.
We have what is, established in the Office of the Attorney General Asset Recovery and Management Unit, sanctioned by the head of service and established on that account. And a database has indeed been established that captures the desired information relating thereto.
The lawmakers query a 2 billion naira payment for prosecution of terrorism suspects from the recovery accounts.
Where the money comes from is a function of the Federal Ministry of Finance, and I'm not making specific requests out of the recovered assets.
His attention is then drawn to a document from the central bank, but he insists that there is nothing to show that it originated from his office.
It says request for approval to effect critical payment in respect of Federal Ministry of Justice from the recovered, which means the Attorney General knows that this is coming from the recovered funds, which means that the Attorney General knows that he's making a request that is against the law.
There is nothing either in the title, indicating a previous correspondence from the Office of the Attorney General, neither is there anything in the opening paragraph making reference to a letter from the Office of the Attorney General.
The federal government. The Accountant General, on his part, is questioned on a missing document showing 5 million euros, which has not been submitted to the committee, as well as 6.1 billion naira paid into an account in the Office of the National Security Advisor, operated by the EFCC, which has been denied by the NSA.
Why is it not in the ledger submitted to this committee? Your balance of account different. Your ledger report to this committee, why is it not reflecting that euro, that 5 million euro, why is it not reflecting in the ledger submitted to this committee?
Well, this is what I was telling you. Reconciliation is always there, and all accountants will attest to that. We will update you. By tomorrow, you will get full position.
EFCC officers attached to NSA office, keeping a separate recovery account. No, I mean, if you're working for EFCC, no matter where you are you allowed to operate an account where you're different from the EFCC account and the NSA is unaware of the recovery account?
On the issue of recovered loots, the Accountant General boldly insists that the Ibori loot was paid to Delta State.
Let's give an example. I mean, there's something trending, the recovery of Ibori loot. Where will it be paid into?
It was paid to the state. Is it Delta or Yeah, Delta State. It was paid to Delta State.
But that's contrary to the information that it was
No.
used for specific
Any
budgeting.
recovery, Honorable Chair, Honorable Committee, any recovery that is, arising from looted funds from a particular state goes to the state.
The lawmakers are also concerned that loans were given to agencies from the recovery accounts, especially for items which were already provided for in the budget. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And the Office of the Accountant General later sang another tune, saying the £4.2 million Ibori loot has not been properly resolved. Well, this came after the Delta State government, through the Chief Press Secretary, Olisa Ifejika, denied receiving the amount. The clarification from the Accountant General's office says he was only making general comments about recoveries relating to state governments. It further explained that the Ibori loot is still being awaited, after which the issues around it will be resolved before further action is taken. 14.4 billion naira. Well, that's the worth of jewelry forfeited by a former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Dezani Alison Madueke, to the federal government. At the House of Representatives Committee on the Recovery of Looted Funds and Assets, the chairman of the EFCC, Abdul Rashid Bawa, said the estimated value of the houses seized from and forfeited by the former minister is put at $80 million, adding that the assets are in the custody of the commission.
The estimated value in Naira was given at 14,460 million Naira. Yes.
I think, I want you to repeat that because members think like...
Is the estimated value that we have, yes.
No, can you tell us the figure again?
14,460 million.
Is it for houses, for cars, or for jewelry?
No, for jewelry. Yes. Yes.
What about the value of the houses and cash, if you are in the position to set it out, please?
It's about $80 million US. $80 million US. No, they have been finally forfeited, just like houses and vehicles, etc., etc. And the Commission is looking forward to the Presidential Committee to auction all those items and then deposit the money appropriately into...
When did you get this forfeiture order?
We got it, I think, sometime in 2019, if I remember, yeah.
If you have an asset and it's worth 14 billion, and some of them could be deteriorating assets, we need to be sure that they're still in such a fit and proper state, or, if we keep keeping them, they're going to go. I'm sure you have cars that were seized. So every day you have a forfeited car, you're losing value. Why does it take so long to turn this asset into cash to fund the budget?
Several factors, Mr. Chairman. The court processes and procedures, is chief among them, that requires a very lengthy time of us to dispose onto this. Other issues, administrative exchanges, etc., etc. But what I want to assure the committee is that since when I come on board, we have resolved that going forward we are going to be dealing with these issues on case-by-case basis. We are not going to have it the way we used to have it again. And we are happy with the committee set up by the federal government to dispose not only the assets that we seized, but also the assets that other agencies have seized. I believe once that exercise is over, the line is already drawn. We will be left with the new issues that will come on board, and I believe we are going to deal with them heads-on case-by-case basis, so that there will not be any need next year or 2 years, in 2 years' time, or in 5 years' time, for the House to set up this type of committee again, for them to investigate the status of this, because we will be dealing with them as per the cases that we are being done with in court.
Well, news round comes to a close in the city of Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where tens of thousands of people, including United Nations aid workers, have been evacuated over fears of another volcanic eruption. Local authorities say Mount Nyiragongo could erupt once again with little warning. Well, that's News Round for this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Kaido Kikyo.